Okay, so 7 reasons or 7 ways to know that your relationship is failing. Number 1, the person avoids contact with you. The person avoids contact with you. So when people are in relationships and the relationships have issues, first, if you're in a relationship, you're supposed to want to spend time with the person. Okay, maximum time. So you spend 5 hours, it's like you just spend 5 minutes. That's the way it's supposed to be. But when someone begins to avoid you, the person begins to move away from you, the person begins to take your hands away when you touch them, the person begins to avoid body contact, avoid hugging you, the person does not pay attention to you, the person avoids, just looks for every reason on earth, gives excuses. It's raining, my cat died, all those kind of ridiculous things. The person gives excuses that are not related. Okay, unreasonable excuses. You know that this person is avoiding and there's something wrong. Sometimes the person also changes plans unceremoniously. The person changes plans unceremoniously. So you had already agreed, okay, next week we're going out on a date, we are going to XYZ place. And then suddenly the person cancels unceremoniously. You know there is something wrong. The person is looking for every reason not to just be with you. The person also avoids your friends and family. You know why? Because know your friends and your family show commitment. The person doesn't want to be burdened with that commitment in that relationship. Because also sometimes your friends and your family will see things that you don't see. You might be so carried away in love that you don't see things. Your friends and your family will know if that person is not interested in you. So the person will begin to avoid them, avoid your friends, avoid your family. So let's have a self-check. You're in a relationship, whether not married or married, because this happens both ways. So if you're not married yet and you want to be sure that you're in this life-changing relationship, you're sure that you want to be sure that this relationship you're in is going to be one for the keeps, then you need to ask yourself these questions. Is the person avoiding me? Has the person begun to avoid me? And then you yourself, are you avoiding somebody? Are you looking for every reason not to be with them? Then it might just show that something is wrong. Number 2, reduced communication. Now when somebody begins to avoid communication with you, communication is the oil, they say, that lubricates relationships. So when somebody begins to avoid communicating with you, then it shows that there's a problem. Reduced communication. The person doesn't call you as often as they used to. The person doesn't text you. The person looks for every reason, gives excuses. When you call, you call several times, person doesn't pick your call, and then maybe later the person gives excuses. I didn't see it on my phone, was bad, and all those things. And it's becoming too frequent. Then you should read you should read in between the lines and know that something is wrong. That person is probably getting tired of the relationship and wants out, but is looking for a way to say. So he does not call you or text you. She does not call you or text you anymore. More missed calls with unreasonable explanations, those kind of things. Then the person hates conversing with you. Now when you're in a relationship with someone, you're supposed to enjoy talking with each other. You're supposed to enjoy being with each other. You talk a lot. And then this person begins to get tired of conversations. The person begins to just say, I'm tired, I can't talk now, let's talk about this later. The person begins to avoid conversations. Then something is wrong. So you need to do that check, ask yourself the question. Now if you're married and these things are happening, then it's time for you to sit with your spouse, with your husband and wife, and ask them what's wrong. These things might mean that something else is wrong. There are issues that have not been addressed, and until you address those issues, these signs might keep popping up every now and then. So they will help you to know that there are bigger issues which you need to talk about and which you need to resolve. You need to also check yourself. So am I the one who is reducing communication? Am I the one who is not talking? Am I the one who is avoiding the person's calls or messages? Am I the one who does not respond to messages? Am I the one who gives unreasonable explanation? Am I the one who is avoiding conversations? Then you should ask yourself that question. Number 3, the tone of voice. The tone of voice. The person uses harsh tones of voice. Now, when someone who used to speak lovingly to you, I'm going to always be addressing this for both singles and married people. So you're single. Let's look at the singles now. Someone who used to speak to you lovingly, gently, now begins to be harsh, unnecessarily harsh, then something is wrong. The person wasn't talking to you that way before, but suddenly you discover the person begins to snap at you, the person begins to get unnecessarily irritable, and the person shouts on you and all that. Then you know something is wrong. You begin to notice attitudinal change. It's a sign that that person is probably becoming uninterested in the relationship. They become easily irritated. There's this story someone told us one time. He said, there's this man, before the wife was the one talking, and that before they got married, every time they are walking along a pathway, they love walking together, they love spending time together. So the woman will be walking ahead of him, and then he will be behind. And then if anything happens, she stumbles, she hits her leg on a stone. It will be so apologetic, as if it was the one that caused the accident. He'll be telling, oh, sorry, my dear, I hope you are not hurt. Oh, so sorry. Fast forward to when they got married. They got married, and then the same thing happened. One day she hit her leg, and she was expecting the same thing. And the man said, "Won't you watch where you are going? Walk well." So what really changed? For them it was familiarity, but it's always an example of what can happen to people when someone begins to be disinterested, when someone begins to get tired of relationship, begin to talk rudely. They don't talk with civility to you anymore, and then you know that something is wrong. They begin to be easily irritated. They disrespect you. Now, when people are in a relationship, they should respect each other, and when they begin to disrespect each other, it's a sign that something is wrong. Let's look at it for married people. If you're in a marriage and suddenly your husband or wife who wasn't talking to you that way, for who wasn't harsh, or she used to respect you and suddenly she begins to disrespect you, it's time for you to sit back and think, hey, there's something deeper than what I'm saying. There's a bigger issue. Okay, so you seek to talk about it. Find out from the person, what are the issues? Let's talk about, let's address it. It might be something else that happened that the person has carried over and is beginning to affect the person's attitude towards you. The person is beginning to talk to you rudely, is beginning to talk to you harshly. Even the man begins to disrespect you. The man that used to treasure his wife suddenly begins to talk to her like she's trash or like she's his child. Then you know that something is wrong and you need to talk about it. Alright, number four. When the person is no longer interested in what affects or concerns you. Now, when people are in a relationship, they want to know what's happening in the life of the other person. You're interested in, events that affect them, the dates, their birthdays. You're interested in what happened with their day, where they went, who they met, all those things. And then when the person is no longer interested in those things, it's a sign that something is probably wrong. The person is no longer interested in things that concern you. Then you should begin to know that it's time to talk about it. It's time to address some issues. The person is not interested in what concerns you, what affects you. You begin to notice this coldness, unexplainable coldness. It's time to be careful. It's time to talk about it. It's time to find out, do you really want to go on with this relationship if you're not married? And if you're married already, you will need to address the issues that are leading to this coldness. Then you need to watch the person's behavior. It doesn't remember your birthday anymore. It doesn't remember your special date anymore. It doesn't remember all those things that are dear to you. doesn't remember all those things that make you happy, no longer important. The person forgets important details about your life, then you know something is wrong. Number 5, you know, the greatest, this happens especially to women or with women. Their instincts are very strong. So a woman's instinct tells her when something is wrong. So everything might seem right. You may not be able to point your finger at what exactly the problem is, but your instinct tells you something is wrong. There's something not adding up in this relationship. If your instinct tells you so, then you need to listen to your instinct. If your instinct is telling you that this relationship might not lead to marriage, this man is not interested in carrying this thing further, or this woman is not interested in carrying it further, then you should really, really listen to your instinct. You know, sometimes you sense it deeply. You sense it deeply that something is wrong. This person is lying to me. You sense it deeply. You know, someone told me about these people. They were planning to get married, and then, they had gone far, and then this lady, at some point, she began to have this feeling that something was wrong, something was not adding up. Okay, they had talked about everything. The guy had told her about his family and all that, but she felt something was wrong. One day she dreamt, and she saw that there was a child. He had a boy, grown-up boy. Boy looked like him. And so when she woke up in the morning, she was really disturbed. Could it be that this guy had a child and he didn't mention it to me? So when she met him, she raised it up with him, and he said there was nothing like that. So one day they went to the village to see the family, the parents, and then lo and behold, she saw the same boy, the face she saw in the dream. The guy walked into the building. He had always told her that this boy was his uncle's child, so she didn't know. But she had that instinct, that deep feeling, and then she had a dream, and she wasn't comfortable anymore. So he was trying to cover the matter. Eventually, the little boy came and met the father, and he was asking for money to buy something. The father told him to hang on. The boy went. Later, the boy went to meet some other person. That person now said, "Go and meet your daddy." They didn't know she heard, but she heard. Okay, so sometimes these things can happen. People can be deceived, and they don't know, but they have this feeling. There's this God feeling that something is wrong, something is not right with this relationship. This person is not sincere. This person is doing shady things. I can't place a finger on it, but I know that something is not right. So when that happens, you need to really, really listen to your instincts, especially women. Women are very, very intuitive. Okay, most times you already know that something is wrong. You already know that things are not okay, but you want to lie to yourself that everything is fine. Okay, we need to really listen to our instincts. They really help in relationships. So number 6, we are going to, remember, if you're just joining us, this is Love Walk Life with Mike Owangwa. We're on my Facebook page, and please kindly share this broadcast as soon as you see it. Invite your friends and your family to join us. Alright, so number 6, they no longer try to impress you. When people are becoming tired of a relationship, they don't try to impress you anymore. They don't care whether you're happy or sad. When you're in love with somebody, the person says, okay, I don't like this or I don't like that. You try to please them. You try to impress them. Sometimes you try to dress for the person. Sometimes you wear the dress the person says he likes, or you wear the clothes she says she likes. Just you make the person happy. But at this point, when people are not interested anymore, they don't care what you think. They don't care what you feel. Okay, they no longer try to impress the person. They are no longer jealous. Like they say, when people are in love, they are jealous of each other. There's this story I heard about a pastor who was interested in a lady, but he wasn't talking. So the lady will always go. He will tell her he wants to see her. He will pray for her, pray with her, talk with her. They will talk at length, but he wasn't saying anything. So one day, she bought a ring and she wore the ring to visit the pastor. And so when he saw the ring, she noticed that his countenance changed completely. The man was not happy again. He was looking very, very spiritual that day. So, he was speaking in monosyllables that day. Although their conversations, he was just talking anyhow. Eventually she now wanted to leave, and he said, okay, bye-bye. He said, I want you to see me off today like you normally do. Reluctantly, he followed her. She now asked him, tell me the truth, why is your face like that? Is it because of the ring? Is it because of the ring? He said, I just brought it, it's nothing, and you could see that how the guy heaved a sigh of relief. He was happy. He was happy. So when people love other people, they get jealous. It happens with people who are in relationships, happen amongst married couples. So at this point, when the person is no longer interested, he doesn't care. If you like, be dating somebody else. If you like, be doing anything you want. The person is even tired. The person wants out. The person is looking for a reason to back out of the relationship. So we need to be conscious of that. So finally for tonight, number 7, before we take some questions. And by the way, if you have a question, you have a comment, please just put it up on the chat. I'll be following up to see. I already have some questions here coming in. So number 7, they don't include you in their future plans. They don't include you in their future plans. Now what does this mean? The person begins to plan. Normally when people are in love, they plan together now. Okay, if you want to get married, or if you want to relocate, you want to travel, you plan together. But now you find that the person doesn't include you in the future plan. The person has probably is applying for a school in another location, maybe another state or in another country, and the person is not telling you. The person does not involve you in the plans at all. Then you know something is wrong. Because you ask yourself, where does that place you? Both of you are in a relationship and you should be planning together. The person should consider you. Let's assume you want to get married. Okay, the person does not include you in their plans. Sometimes you're even with them and they begin to introduce you, meet my friend, and then you begin to ask yourself, why are you introducing me as your friend? That kind of thing, like any casual friend. So these are some pointers that your relationship might be failing. These are pointers that there's an issue and we need to really begin to look at them. So I'm going to run through them again just so that we can get them, number 1 to 7. And by the way, if you're just joining us, this is Love Walk Live with Mike Owangwa. We're talking about 7 pointers that your relationship is failing. So number 1, we said they avoid contact with you. Number 2, we said reduced communication. They reduce communication with you. They stop calling or they stop texting like they used to do. Number 3, we said the person begins to use harsh tone to speak with you, or you begin to notice attitudinal changes in the person. Number 4, we say the person is no longer interested in those things that affect or concern you. Also, the person begins to exhibit coldness. Number 5, your instinct tells you so. Your instinct tells you so. So you sense it deeply, especially for women. Women are very intuitive, so you begin to sense that something is wrong. Number 6, they no longer try to impress you. Okay, they are no longer jealous. They don't care what you're doing. You can do anything you want. You're on your own. It's your business. They are no longer interested. And finally, number 7, we said they don't include you in their future plans. So you find people making plans and they're not considering you at all. Then you know that there's a big issue.